Becky.
I'm Sarah.
And this is Bickering Books. And today we are going to do a list. And our list is inspired by the Olympics because we are doing Olympics in Rio right now. And I'm a huge Olympics nerd. I love all things Olympics related.
So I really like watching Michael Phelps, obviously, but I really love the gymnastics competitions.
That's awesome.
And then I was watching last night, and man, oh man, I thought the gymnastics team was cute, but then the divers came out, and I was like, yes!
That was my reaction too.
Yeah!
But I will watch any of it if it's on the Olympics. Like, I'm watching people, like, ride horses. I'm watching people, like, sword fight. It's fencing. Any of it. Stuff that normally I'd be like, ugh. I'm like, but it's the Olympics. There's medals, and they're in Rio, and they're kayaking. Come on.
See, but TV does this thing where I can watch, like, 4 channels at once for the Olympics, so we just flip through the different ones we actually
I don't have that.
I know, it's like this multi-view. It's awesome. Open my mind.
I need that.
Well, we can watch channels that we don't actually get.
That's bizarre.
It is bizarre, but it's kind of awesome.
We get all the channels. Don't get me started on that. So we are doing our special list this week is our favorite sports books. And I think it's really interesting because when I was compiling my list, looking at my Goodreads and, really researching this list, I was surprised by where my heart laid with some of these books.
Well, and I really didn't think I was going to have enough because sports are really typically not my thing, especially the sports books. But I was able to come up with more than enough, actually.
I did too, and I have to admit, some of mine might be stretching it, but there are sports in all of these books.
Mm-hmm.
Sports play a major part of these books.
And I liked all of them.
Every book on this list I truly enjoyed.
It's a true story.
And so I'm going to start with my number 5, which is a newer book called Girl vs. Universe, which I actually reviewed on our blog, BickeringBooksReviews.com, by Paula Stokes, and it is about a girl named McGuire who thinks she's cursed. She was out mountain rock climbing with her father, her uncle, and her brother, and there was a car accident and they all died. And then a few years later, she was fine. There was not even a scratch. Then a few years later, she went with a bunch of her friends to an amusement park, and the car they were on their roller coaster jumped the track, and everybody else was severely injured but her. Then there was a sleepover where everybody got food poisoning but her, and then she left a candle burning in her house and forgot about it, which was like unheard of with her forgetting something. And the next door neighbor's house burned down. And so she thinks she's cursed, and so she's in therapy, and her therapist starts to give her these different homework assignments, and one is to join a group. And so she joins the tennis team, and of course when she's on the tennis team, there's also a boy who's also going through therapy who has therapy homework, and he is a almost professional. He's like that junior level professional tennis player. Kind of think Andy Roddick before he went pro. His homework was to work with the girls' tennis team, and she joined the tennis team, and so like they're playing tennis, and there's a little love, and I loved the book. I thought it was great.
Well, that sounds awesome. Okay, so I'm starting off with more of a tween middle grade novel. It's called The Crossover by Kwame Alexander. It's about 2 twins, Jordan and, I want to get his name right, Jordan and Josh. Josh is the main character. Basically, it's about growing up. Jordan gets a girlfriend and Josh kind of feels replaced. Plus, he kind of liked the girl a little bit.
It's a Newbery.
It was a Newbery. I mean, it's beautifully written. It's perfect for your tween boy child, or a girl child. But it's got the whole sports. It's really quick. So it gets you in the feels and it does it fast. And it's beautiful. But anyway, the twins are on a basketball team. Their father was a retired basketball player. So basketball is kind of the focus of the novel. And it's just kind of how they live beyond the basketball court.
It was a good book. It was really good. And I didn't think I'd like it, but I did.
So, and I feel like I may actually use the wrong terms related to sports. I almost said arena, and that would not be true for basketball. So if I have the wrong vocabulary related to a sport, you can laugh.
Don't feel bad. I just finally stopped saying fourth base instead of home plate.
Yes.
So, but I do know about tennis and pool. Okay, anyway, that could be a sport. Do they play pool in the Olympics? They should.
Billiards.
Yeah, they do. I would totally watch. Okay.
I feel like that's a winter sport.
I think so. So my number 4 is Catching Jordan by Miranda Keneally, I'm going to say. And she is a great author for sports for books for girls. She has a whole series of them about girls that play sports. Catching Jordan is actually about a girl who is the quarterback on her high school football team. Her dad is a professional football player. Her brother is going to college and playing football. And it's just, this is what she loves. She plays football, but then the boy comes to town, and he used to be the quarterback on his old team, and she likes him, and she has to kind of decide, does she want to be true to herself, or does she want to like let him have her spot, and what goes from there. And she's another Miranda Keneally, I want to say, is another great author because she has a whole bunch of books after this, and like the books revisit these characters, and I love that because like I know like what happens to Jordan for the next 10 years of her life because I've read the rest of the books in the series, even though she's not the main character.
I love that.
It's good times.
I love that. Okay, so my fourth book is Oh My Gods by Tara Lynn Childs, and she is awesome for the fluffy romance, Greek mythology tie-ins. She does have that Oh My Fins book too, but if you're looking, if you're looking for Greek mythology, she's a good one to go with. Also, she's super cool because there's this online teen scavenger hunt thing that she always kind of participates in, and then you could win free books and stuff. So just letting you know that she's kind of awesome in that way.
I always intend to do that and never do.
I know.
We were totally going to do that this year, and we just totally forgot.
We totally should.
It was a whole thing.
Anyway, so Oh My Gods is about, let's see, it is about Phoebe, whose mother remarries this super hunky, hot Greek guy, and they move to this island in the Aegean, and she goes to the prep school where the hunky Greek guy is the principal at, but while there she finds out that all of the kids are descendants of Greek gods, so she's this super runner that wanted to kind of get a running scholarship for college, and now she's like, I don't know if I, like, it's hard to compete against immortals and people with superpowers. So she's kind of still working on her running, but like going against people who obviously have a better chance at running than she does.
And my number 3 is also about track. It's called The Running Dream by, I'm going to totally botch this, I'm sorry, Wendland Van Dreyen, who also wrote the book Flipped that was turned into a movie a couple years ago. And this book is about Jessica, who is the star of her track team. And there's a bus accident on the way to a track meet, and she actually loses her foot. And track was her whole life, and it's about how she can what it takes for her to get the proper prosthetic to run. I learned a lot about that. I learned a lot about prosthetics. I learned about how expensive those are. But it's about her kind of finding herself again. And I thought it was beautifully done.
Sounds really interesting.
It's really good.
So here's my number 3, but the thing is, I was having a real difficult time choosing between 2 and 3 because I think that they're both, my 2 and 3 are like kind of neck and neck, even awesome. But anyway, so the number 3 is None of the Above by I.W. Gregorio. And so this is about an intersex woman who basically finds out that she is intersex, and then that information kind of gets out at school, and she has to deal with all those repercussions at school and kind of in herself and figuring out her own personal identity while also kind of working it with society. She's a big-time hurdler like on the track team, and she hopes to kind of go to college one day with that, but being that her kind of gender comes into question, I guess, for the normal society, she has to kind of deal with that issue because it's this whole thing. Anyway, and I think it's really great because it kind of gets into just because you're intersex doesn't mean that you're homosexual, which was kind of another theme that came through in the I Am Jazz book that we looked at. So it was really interesting. I liked it.
My number 2 is kind of a fluffy read, but it was a good read. It's called Boy Next Door by Katie Van Ark. It's about about a girl and a boy that live next door to each other. Their parents are best friends, Maddie and Gabe, and they are competitive figure skaters, and they competitive figure skate together. And it's really interesting because Katie Van Ark was a competitive figure skater. Oh, I'm sorry, they compete together, they were best friends, and then of course they fall in love. Well, obviously.
Yeah.
Obvi. But Katie Van Ark was a competitive figure skater, so it was really kind of cool because you learn about the rankings and you learn about, like, I didn't know you had to take a test to be allowed to skate at certain levels, and it was very interesting. But it's just one of those, the skating was good, but the romance was good, and it was good times.
All right. Okay, so something I learned this year in the Olympics, that judo is one of the events. I didn't actually watch it, sorry. but it's one of the events. Anyway, so my next book is called Bruised by Sarah Skilton. Skilton? I think that's how you say it. Anyway, so it is about Imogen. I think I'm saying her name.
That's right, Imogen.
Imogen. I don't know if I like that name.
I can never decide.
Anyway, if your name is Imogen, I am sorry. You'll have to tell me why it's great.
It's exotic. We like it.
You know. Anyway, so about Imogen, who is a black belt in Taekwondo. However, one night while she's hanging out at a diner, it gets robbed. And as the robbery is taking place, she freezes. And so doesn't fight back. And that kind of sends her whole identity into a tailspin. Because she's like, what's the point in even learning how to Taekwondo or fight when the time comes to it, it doesn't matter. I may be good in practice or in a world where there are rules, but when it comes to, in the moment, I can't perform. So she's having those issues and flashbacks to this robbery. The other boy that was kind of there with her that didn't get hurt in it all, his name is Rick, and so she goes to him to kind of talk about it. Also, she wants him to kind of help her learn how to fight for reals instead of just in Taekwondo and following the rules. So she's hoping that if she learns how to punch you in the face, she'll be able to, protect herself if she's ever robbed again.
Nice.
So, but it was really good. It was really good. Really good identity book.
So before we do our number ones, just to recap, mine were number 5, Girl versus the Universe by Paula Stokes. Catching Jordan was number 4 by Miranda Keenly? Something? Number 3, Running Dream by Wendelin Van Drayen. And number 2, Boy Next Door by Katie Van Ark.
Okay. 5 is Crossover by Kwame Alexander. 4 was Oh My Gods by Tara Lynn Child. 3 was None of the Above by I.W. Gregorio. 2 was Bruised by Sarah Skilton.
And my number 1, which kind of surprised me when I looked at the list, but this is where my heart went, was Deadline by Chris Crutcher. And it is a great book about a boy named Ben who's 18. He's a senior in high school, and he goes to get his physical because he's going back to the track team. And it turns out that he has an inoperable brain cancer. And so they tell him, you have 9 months. And he's like, what have I always wanted to do? And what he always wanted to do, even though he was the star of the track team, was he wanted to play football. And so his twin brother, who was about a foot taller than him and broader than him, says, okay, well, he's already on the football team, so he tries to join the team. And it's about him joining the team, and it's about him giving things up that he didn't really like, and it's about there was a girl that he'd always wanted to talk to, and he asked her out. And it was just, Chris Crutcher did a beautiful job, and it's a beautiful book.
Well, and I think no sports list would be complete without a Chris Crutcher book.
Which is so funny.
Because my number 1 is also a Chris Crutcher book. Mine is Whale Talk. And this is about TJ, who is the best swimmer at a school that doesn't have a swimming pool. And actually, his team who's like a random conglomeration of misfits, they have to get creative about how they're actually going to train to swim. So that's really interesting. And so the swimmers on the team really have no place in school. They want a letter in this sport, but technically they're not playing the sport according to their peers. So it's just kind of finding community within their other teammates. And then accidents happen, different things happen, and some tragedy befalls them, and kind of working through that. And I think that's kind of where Chris Crutcher, why he is such a standard, awesome, has to be on the sports list, is because he mixes reality, real issues, real tough issues with sports. So it appeals to people who want the sporting books, but then also get kind of the meat.
Plus, also people who have issues do things other than sit around and mope about their issues. So yeah, a kid who plays football might have issues. And something is, what was it in the Sarah Burns book?
Staying Fat for Sarah Burns. Awesome.
Wasn't he swimming in that? But there was so much other stuff going on. That book was incredible too.
Yeah, I mean, and sports kind of factor into them all, but it's not the main focus of it.
Right.
It's more about the human interaction.
Because people are complicated. And I think he does a really good job. I want to say he was a child psychologist.
No, he was a social worker. He is kind of awesome.
I knew it was something.
Awesome. If he ever comes to your town, go see him because he's super interesting. He has great, interesting stories, and he kind of relates it back to his own experiences. It's really great. He's really great.
So that's where we are in our sports books.
Have fun watching the Olympics.
Enjoy Rio.
I will be watching gymnastics because diving's over. That's so sad.
No, but the synchronized diving's over. The other diving comes back in a couple weeks. We're excited. And you guys have a great day.
Adios.